Testing stream audio. Check one, two, three.
as we begin today's meeting, we'd like to acknowledge that we are gathering here today on the traditional territories of the Mississauga, the Credit, Haudenosaunee, and Wendat nations who have called this land home since time immemorial. Please all rise for the singing of our national anthem, to be followed by a moment of personal reflection.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for stand on guard for
Welcome to our regular council meeting of June 11th, 2025. I see we have members present in the chamber except for I believe we have Councillor Keenan online and Councillor Medeiros online. Okay. Other than that, everyone else is here in person. This takes us to the approval of our agenda, and the clerk has some adjustments.
Through you, Mayor Brown. The original agenda was amended, and the revised agenda includes the following items. 7.1, staff presentation, city building and financial implications of Bill 17. The item was listed and presentation added. 9.1, government relations matters, the presentation was added. 11.4.1, staff report regarding city building and financial implications of Bill 17. The report was added and the title updated. And 13.2, the summary of recommendations for Planning and Development Committee, June 9th, 2025, was added and published. That's it.
Okay, we have a few other items. Councillor Pelushi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add a discussion item and also motion to council for a commemorative bench for Mason Walker. Mason was pulled out of Loafers Lake in a tragic death.
Okay, and that will be item 17.2, Mason Walker. Okay, Deputy Mayor Singh.
If I may, I just want to add an announcement for Strong Cities. So whenever it comes into order, Strong Cities announcement.
So that'd be 6.3. Okay, Councillor Santos.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Just wondering, in the agenda today, we will be going into closed session for the Peel Police update after the staff presentation, and just wondering if we could just remain in closed to deal with all the other closed session matters at that time instead of going back and forth, if that's okay?
Absolutely. We have the subject matter expert on the transit item is also only available in the morning. So my hope was going to suggest we do all the in-camera items at the same time, right after announcements. Okay. Okay.
So it's just done.
Whose presentation? Steve Ganesh. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Goodbye, Chair.
I'm so sorry.
We know they work closely. A truncated version referred to planning matters. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Singh, seconded by Councillor Tor to accept the amended, to support the amended agenda. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to declarations of interest on the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Does any member have a declaration of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act for any matter to be considered on today's agenda? Seeing none, the clerk will so note. We now have the following council minutes before us today. Regular meeting, March 28th. Do any members have any questions or comments on the minutes? Seeing none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Santos, seconded by Councillor Vasante to approve the minutes as published and circulated. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to our consent motion. 9.1, Government Relation Matters. 11.41, I think there's a request to hold that. That's the update on Bill 17. Members of council want the full presentation? Okay. 13.1, minutes of Committee of Council. Summary recommendations, 13.2. Referred matters list, 17.1. Closed session minutes, May 28th. 20.2, closed session minutes. 20.3, closed session report, Brampton Transit update. We have a motion in there. Yeah, I assume council wants to hear from him. Yeah, here. Automated speed enforcement hold. Okay. So this takes us to, so you want to summarize?
Through Mayor Brown, the following items are included on the consent motion. 9.1, Government Relations Matters. 13.1, Minutes, Committee of Council, June 4th. 13.2, Summary of Recommendations, Planning and Development Committee, June 9th. 17.1, Referred Matters List. 20.1, Closed Session Minutes, May 28th. 20.2, Closed Session Minutes, Committee of Council, June 4th. And that's it.
Okay, motion moved by Councillor Power, second by Councillor Fortini to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to announcements. We have a number of announcements today, and the first announcement is Italian Heritage Month. Councillor Fortini, why don't you read the proclamation, and Councillor Pleshy, you can be the councillor responding to the proclamation.
Read it in Italian.
Okay.
Proudly recognizes the month of June of Italian Heritage Month, a time to celebrate the rich history, culture, and contribution to Canadians of Italian descent. Italian Canadians have played a significant role in shaping the socio-economical, political, and cultural fabric in Brampton across Canada, enriching our communities with their strong values and families of hard work and civic engagement. Italian Heritage Month is an opportunity to acknowledge achievements of the Italian immigrants of their descent and to educate the future generation of their inspiring legacy. The City of Brampton celebrates a vibrancy, multiculturalism, and that defines a community, pays a tribute to many contributions and the Italian Canadians in building a stronger and more united city. Therefore, Mayor Patrick Brown, on behalf of the City Council, and do hereby proclaim June 2025 as Italian Heritage Month in the City of Brampton. So I know there's Michelina here and Carmen to receive this, and I think we'll wait for some pictures after.
Yeah. Councillor Pleshy, you want to speak to this as the councillor up? Too?
Also in Italian.
You're a little bit Italian.
Yeah, just if anybody wants to put on a couple pounds, then come out that night. We're gonna have some great food and great music. And is Carmen coming down? Carmen, you coming down? You here for this? Well, come down. Come down and say something. Come.
Are you going to sing, Carmen? Where's the accordion?
Come. Yeah, come.
Carmen.
Morning, members of the council. Mayor Brown, thank you so much for this proclamation for June as Italian Heritage Month. This is one of the best attended cultural events we have in the city. I think the Filipino one did well the other day, but it's only because they have the dessert. We have the porchetta, we have the veal, we have the bruschetta, and we have great music. Right, Avisa Monicista, the accordion player is really good.
Nice.
And it's a great event to do every year. We have a great turnout, and it's great to see so many councilors there. So thank you so much for this. Hope to see you all Saturday, 2 o'clock at the flagpole. And our local rep, Michelina, say a few things as well.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm here only because I would like you to know the Italian is important. What do you think? Hey, our group is important. So we meet all on Saturday on the 4th, at the 14th, at 2 o'clock. And I want all of you to be there because we could talk. I can talk in here. I don't like it. I like it there. Anyway, thank you very much. Take care.
That's in order. The police are looking. That's in order.
I seen it. They watching me.
Don't worry, we're all right. We know that. Thank you so much. If we could get a picture, it'd be great.
When we finish all the announcements and proclamations, we'll do photos with the proclamations for those who are here. I just got pointed out, we did miss one thing in the updated agenda. This came from Gage, and I thought it was already added, and that is we have a delegation from the Dominican that is here celebrating baseball, as we can tell. So that would be announcement 6.4. So can I have permission to reopen the agenda and add 6.4? And it's Breaking Borders Sports, Tiffany Decoto. So consent to reopen the agenda to add? Agenda reopened. All those in favor of adding it as item 6.4, or sorry, 6.5, or so 6, sorry, 6.4 in favor. So you'll be item 6.4. We're excited to hear from you shortly as well. Okay, our next proclamation is for Rotary Friendship Exchange Day. And our Deputy Mayor, who's a big fan of Rotary, would like to speak to this.
Thank you. For Rotary Friendship Exchange Day, whereas Rotary International has a program called Rotary Friendship Exchange, which allows Rotarians and their families to participate in reciprocal visits with Rotarians from other countries, whereas Rotary International is a global network of over 1.4 million individuals known as Rotarians who volunteer their time and resources to address humanitarian needs and promote peace. Whereas established in 1905, it is the world's first service organization and one of the world's largest, with a mission to provide service to others, promote integrity, and advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace. Whereas the primary goals of Friendship Exchange are to build international understanding, foster goodwill, and create lasting friendships through personal connections and cultural experiences. Whereas this day is dedicated to raising awareness of Rotary's mission, celebrating the gathering of Rotarians from around the world, and showcasing the rich cultural mosaic of Brampton. Therefore, I, Mayor Patrick Brown, on behalf of Brampton City Council, do hereby proclaim June 18th, 2025 as Rotary Friendship Exchange Day in the city of Brampton.
And would like a representative from Rotary like to respond to the proclamation? Okay.
Good morning. My name is Suzanne Spinden. I'm the current district governor-elect of Rotary District 7080. Thank you very much, Mayor Brown and esteemed members of the Brampton Council. It is with immense gratitude and a deep sense of honor that I accept on behalf of Rotary District 7080 this proclamation of June 18th, 2025 as Rotary Friendship Exchange Day. This day is not simply a date on the calendar. It is a testament to the enduring spirit of friendship, understanding, and global connection that lies at the very core of Rotary. Through the Friendship Exchange program, we can see and experience how bridging cultures and fostering personal relationships can truly build peace, one handshake, one shared meal, and one unforgettable experience at a time. This proclamation serves as a wonderful recognition of the dedication and hard work of countless Rotarians and participants who opened their homes and hearts to visitors from around the world. It reinforces our commitment to creating a more peaceful, harmonious, and interconnected global community. We are incredibly proud to celebrate Rotary Friendship Exchange Day in Brampton, and we look forward to many more years of building lasting friendships across borders and continents. Thank you again for this incredible honor. And I, as a token of our appreciation, I present you with a pin with this coming Rotary Year's message, Unite for Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I see a number of Rotarians here, and we'll take a photo as soon as we finish the announcements. Thank you for being here with us today, and for all the great work Rotary does in our community. Next proclamation is World Sickle Cell Awareness Day, and Councillor Brar, who is a big supporter of this fundraiser, will speak to it.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. World Sickle Cell Day. The World Health Organization, the United Nations, and the Government of Ontario have recognized sickle cell disease as a global and local public health priority, and to raise awareness designated the 19th of the day of June every year as World Sickle Cell Day. The Sickle Cell Awareness Group of Ontario recognizes SCD as an increasing important medical issue in the province. Through education and awareness programs, outreach campaigns, and conversations with community-based organizations and hospitals, SCAGO is doing its part to reduce the stigma and discrimination faced by the families with children, youth, and adults living with sickle cell disease. Therefore, I, Mayor Patrick Brown, on behalf of Brampton City Council, do hereby proclaim June 19, 2025 as World Sickle Cell Day in the City of Brampton.
Do we have a representative from the Sickle Cell Awareness Day here? We'll make sure they get that proclamation. The next proclamation up is something that Councillor Vicente is a champion of, and that's National Phlebotomy Technicians Recognition Week, which is from June 23rd to 27th. So over to Councillor Vicente.
Thank you very much, Mayor. National Phlebotomy Technicians Recognition Week provides an opportunity to acknowledge the essential role of phlebotomy technicians across Canada who ensure the accurate collection and processing of patient specimens critical to healthcare diagnosis and treatment. Phlebotomy technicians demonstrate exceptional skill and dedication in performing vital procedures such as venipuncture, microcollection, and specimens handling, all while maintaining the highest standards of patient safety, confidentiality, and comfort. The contributions of phlebotomy technicians are integral to the smooth operation of healthcare facilities and contribute significantly to positive patient outcomes and the overall success of medical teams. National Phlebotomy Technicians Recognition Week encourages recognition, raises awareness, and promotes the ongoing development of phlebotomy technicians as valued healthcare professionals across this nation. Therefore, I, Mayor Patrick Brown, on behalf of Brampton City Council, do hereby proclaim June 23rd to 27th as National Phlebotomy Technicians Recognition Week in the City of Brampton.
Thank you, Councillor Vicente. Do we have any representatives from the phlebotomy technicians? See none, we'll make sure that they get a copy of the proclamation. I'm sure they are working hard within our healthcare system. Our next item is item 6.2, and Councillor Santos, to no surprise, sponsored this, and this is to launch the Brampton Theatre Season Launch. And I believe we have Jocelyn Johnson here.
Good morning. Good morning, Mayor Brown, members of council. I'm pleased to join you today to announce the Summer-Fall 2025 season. From concerts and comedy to theater and dance, the Rose, as Brampton's flagship performing arts venue, proudly presents world-class programming that reflects the creativity, energy, and diversity of our city. This season is a dynamic mix of celebrated icons, international stars, and artists who have shaped Brampton's cultural identity, alongside rising stars and exciting new collaborations. Highlights include the return of Canadian legend Jan Arden with her brand new Christmas tour, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine and Audioslave, and a performance from acclaimed jazz singer Morgan James with the Bee Jazz Orchestra to celebrate the World of Jazz Festival. We're also thrilled to welcome to the sensational Divine Brown, featured as part of the fan favorite Reimagined by music director Darren D'Souza, as well as Ballet Jorgen's holiday tradition, the Nutcracker. We're proud to spotlight Brampton's Arts Walk of Fame inductees, including Scott Thompson from Kids in the Hall, and Juno-winning reggae artist Exco Levi at the High Priest Fest, which will also feature fellow inductee Tanya Mullings, who joined us to celebrate the new exhibit at the Rose recently. Signature events like Flow Fest, curated by Juno winner Larnell Lewis and Joy Lapse, Moksha by Third Space, the Toronto Symphony Orchestra's Fiesta Sinfonica, and Jay Martin's All-Star Comedy Edition return to anchor the season. Local talent remains central, with This Is Brampton series continuing to uplift emerging voices, and the return of long-standing partners like Bejazzed, the Rose Orchestra, Brampton Concert Band, and Brampton Music Theatre. We're celebrating music and nostalgia all year long, including The Poets, a tragically hip tribute, The Last Waltz, a tribute to the music of the band, and always popular Classic Albums Live, returning with 2 shows, Michael Jackson's Thriller and Pink Floyd's The Wall, featuring the Rose Orchestra. Free programming in Garden Square and on the Rose patio will animate our downtown core all summer long, including outdoor concerts, laid-back patio performances, and family favorites, Movies Under the Stars, which start this Saturday. It'll create opportunities for residents and visitors to connect through the arts. Looking ahead to 2026, we have announced 3 major shows on sale now, including the chart-topping Sam Roberts Band, Broadway's Tony-nominated Jeremy Jordan, and country sensation Tenille Townes. I want to express our sincere appreciation for the ongoing commitment of this council in championing the arts in Brampton. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, including Algoma University, Genesis Brampton, Fieldgate Developments, and Northwest Lexus, as well as our donors, our volunteers, and our community partners for their incredible support. Today, I get to share a short trailer preview of the season, and of course, you've all received copies of our new brochure featuring Arts Walk of Fame inductee Exco Levi. At this point, we can go to the video, please. Maybe.
Experience the extraordinary magic of live performance with the Fall 2025 season at the Rose Brampton. From breathtaking musical showcases and laughter-filled nights to show-stopping performances by legendary Canadian icons, our stage is set for a season of world-class entertainment. The curtain's rising. Are you ready to take your seat?
Thank you so much.
Okay. I don't see any questions,
Yes.
but, Councillor Santos?
Thank you through Mr. Mayor. Of course, I have comments about this. This is fantastic. Every single time we launch a new season, it gets better and better. I've just been flipping through the brochure, looking at all the Brampton talent, Bejazzed, plug for Bejazzed, November the 27th, a big band Christmas, always a lot of fun. Jan Arden coming back. We've got Michael Jackson Thriller to the stage that's coming, and Toronto Symphony Orchestra, Rose Orchestra. There's so much happening, and I just want to highlight that folks should consider, instead of giving physical presents to family for their birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day coming up on Sunday, Christmas, you name it, consider giving the gift of Brampton on stage. That's what I've done this year, or actually over the past few years for Christmas for my family. It's an opportunity to spend time with your family, support Brampton on Stage, the Rose Theatre, as well as the performers, particularly the local performers and the talent in the city of Brampton. So thank you for this. I don't know what to choose from in terms of what to see and what my schedule allows, but looking forward to the season this year. Thanks, Jocelyn, and the entire Cultural Services team.
Okay, thank you, Jocelyn, and I think we all got that as a hint. Councillor Santos' birthday is coming up in July. She would like Bejazzed tickets and an autographed Carmen Spada t-shirt. We'll work on that. But thank you, Jocelyn. Thanks for all the great work you do. For the photo with Jocelyn after, please bring your sunglasses and your summer fall guide. Okay, our next item is item 6.3, where our deputy mayor did some remarkable work and is going to speak to what happened in Brampton the last 2 days.
Thank you, and I just wanted to highlight some of the work that our intergovernmental staff did in the last few days. It was a conference led by the Strong Cities Network called City-Led Hate Prevention in Times of Global Crises, the Brampton Experience. And so we've had an opportunity to engage with Strong Cities Network. Councillor Gurprazop Singh Tour went to Montreal, and I had the opportunity to go to their annual conference. And it's a remarkable organization. The city of Brampton is seeing some of the changes coming from polarization and hate, and working collaboratively with other municipalities. That's how we find solutions, learn best practices, learn from each other. It was a well-attended conference. I want to acknowledge my colleagues, particularly Councillor Santos, Councillor Pleshy, who moderated well, Mayor Brown. Obviously, without his leadership, this collaboration wouldn't have been possible. And then my colleague, Councillor Tour, who also attended, and Chief Nish has left. Oh, Chief Nish was also there, alongside Ish. So we had the tag team, Ish and Nish. And I've had the opportunity to work with Ish at the annual conference as well. Remarkable expertise in this field. And so I just wanted to acknowledge the hard work that staff did to put it together, council for their support, and then the Community Safety and Wellbeing Office, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion teams, and then obviously the intergovernmental team. And Chris, you can put your hand up as well. Thank you for everything. Rupinder and the whole team there, thank you for everything. Just want to acknowledge the hard work.
Okay, wonderful. Our last item is item 6.4, and that is Breaking Borders Sports. And we have Tiffany Dakota here, and there's something special happening in Brampton right now. And so I ask you to come to the front, tell us what's happening, and just to say, it is extraordinary, the baseball talent that comes from the Dominican, and I hope it radiates to Canada. I still remember being a child watching the Blue Jays for the first time. My favorite player was George Bell, of course, in the Dominican, American League MVP in 1987, and that just keeps on happening. It keeps every year more and more talent from the Dominican. So tell us the honor we have and why you're here this week.
All right, guys, so good morning, everyone. My name is Tiffany DeCoito, and I'm here with my amazing business partner, Krista Scott. Together, we run Breaking Borders Tournament, and today is an incredibly special. Because for the first time, we brought 19 youths and 9 coaches from the Dominican Republic to Brampton to compete, June 13th to June 15th, to experience something unforgettable. We want to begin thanking DCBC, Wellington Francesco, for his continued support for helping bring these 2 teams down here. We also want a huge thank you to the City of Brampton, to Gage, Alex, and now Michael, for standing beside us for the past 10 months. Your support is what made all this possible. Breaking Borders is more than just baseball. It's about creating opportunities, building lasting connections, and giving young people, no matter where they come from, a place to feel seen, valued, and inspired. This year, we've grown 26 teams with athletes across Ontario, and now internationally. Having these 19 kids and their 9 coaches from Dominican Republic here with us in this room is a powerful reminder of what's possible when community and vision come together. We're just getting started, but today we're here to say thank you for believing in us, for walking with us, and for helping turn this dream into something real. So this is Wellington. He also wanted to give you guys something where it says from the DCBC. It's like a plaque. It's for Mayor Brown, Patrick Brown. Here you guys go.
Oh, beautiful. And I believe we have some scrolls to present to you as well.
Oh, thank you. It's from Dominican Canada Baseball Corporation in appreciation of recognition of the Honorable Patrick Brown, Mayor of the City of Brampton, for his valuable commitment to his promotion for sports and tools and inclusion for developing and well-being, and for his tireless efforts in breaking down barriers and uniting communities, promoting diversity, equity, peaceful coexistence, and among cultures. Thanks, guys.
Well, an honor to have you here today. We'll all members of council come to the front, and just to say it's great timing to have a team visiting for the Dominican, because I'm returning on the news this weekend, and Jose Batista was put into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Of course, one of the most accomplished Blue Jays in our history, and of course, sharing that friendship and that story. A beautiful person who loves the Dominican and loves Canada too. So I'm going to ask members of council to join me. We'll do the scroll presentation and all the other announcement photos too.
right.
I don't see any other questions, so we'll do the photos now. Okay, now we are going into closed session. When we have the chief of police here, who's normally very busy getting bad guys, we don't want to keep him longer than is necessary for an important.
Can I do mine really quick?
What's yours? Yeah.
The end item?
What's that?
Because then I have to go.
Yeah, okay. Councillor Paleshi is asking our indulgence for a quick second before we go in camera.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'll do this briefly before I get emotional. I'll just read out the motion. The City of Brampton offers commemorative bench and tree dedication programs through parks and maintenance operations, providing residents the opportunity to honor loved ones through meaningful and lasting tributes. Mason Walker, a 21-year-old member of our community, tragically passed away at Loafers Lake, a location of deep emotional significance to his family and friends. Mason's father, Len Walker, has submitted a request through the city's bench dedication program to install a commemorative bench in Mason's memory of Loafers Lake. And whereas the Walker family has identified a preferred location for the bench, which has been submitted and approved by staff, whereas the cost of the bench and the commemorative plaque totals $2,087.64, therefore be it resolved that Parks Maintenance Operations staff support the installation of the commemorative bench at Loafers Lake in memory of Mason Walker to be placed at the location preferred by the family. That the City of Brampton waive the full cost of $2,087.64 associated with the bench and plaque as a gesture of compassion, community support, and that city staff work closely with the Walker family to finalize the installation and plaque inscription in accordance with the program guidelines. It's been moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Barr.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Councillor Paleshi, for that thoughtful gesture. All the items we're going to deal with now are in camera, so the meeting will be recessed for the purposes of going in camera. To members of the public watching today's meeting, all meetings of council must start and end in public session. After closed session is completed, council reconvene in public session to complete its business on today's agenda, including reporting out any actions arising from its closed session portion of the meeting, passing and confirming by letter, confirming the proceedings and decisions from the meeting, and adjourning the meeting. And to the clerk, we require 10 minutes? 5 minutes? 10 minutes. All those in favor of going into closed session? Motion carries. Okay, we are back in public session. In the continuing interest of transparency and open government, I will report in public session any outcomes from today's closed session business. As a result of closed session, I wish to report the following. And we're going to put that on the screen. We just go to the 8.1, the item was considered and no direction was given, a public motion to be placed below. 20.3, the item was considered and direction was given. 20.4, the item was considered and direction was given. And in regards to item 8.1, there was a motion from Councillor Santos, seconded by myself and Councillor Pelletier. Over to Councillor Santos, if you want to, it's on the screen, but if you want to summarize it.
Sure. Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Peel Police had a very significant announcement yesterday with a historic seizure of cocaine and other drugs and guns in the history of the region of Peel. And first and foremost, thank you to Police Chief and his incredible team who continue to take a leadership role across the country on public safety. At FCM, Chief Nish presented to colleagues, councillor colleagues, mayors across the entire country at a panel discussion regarding bail reform from the perspective of police and the importance of changing federal legislation to support the efforts of the police and deal with significant public safety issues across the country. And there was a lineup of councillors and mayors wanting to hear more from the police chief, wanting to do more, wanting to advocate more. And so this motion is in follow-up to the FCM conference and the leadership of Chief Nish and Peel Regional Police to essentially host a national public safety summit on all the various conversations that happened at FCM, and very specifically sending this motion requesting FCM to partner with the City of Brampton and Peel Police to put on this public safety summit in early spring of 2026. And I just want to thank Mayor Brown and Councillor Pelletier, the chair of Community Safety Committee, for seconding the motion. It was Councillor Pelletier and Mayor Brown who in 2021 first started the ball rolling in terms of calling for bail reform and dealing with repeat offenders. And based on our in-camera update from Peel Police and our update that's coming to the region of Peel tomorrow, I think we should maintain our leadership role, partner with FCM, host a public safety summit, because I know my colleagues across the country are waiting to hear about some solutions in an action plan and put more pressure on the federal government to make those federal legislative changes. So that's essentially the motion. If you want to scroll down to the bottom for the therefore be it resolved, just to note for the clerk, if we could please, oh, and by the way, a shout out to my colleague, First Vice President Tim Tierney in the City of Ottawa, who loves this idea as well and is happy to support it. Just a note to the clerk, we really do need to send this to the FCM Executive Board and the board ASAP so I could meet my resolution deadline in July. And also sending it to the region of Peel as correspondence for the Peel Police update tomorrow as well, calling on region of Peel support. And finally, if I may ask, in addition to this motion for support, just to reopen the agenda very quickly to add correspondence from the chair of the police board, who wrote a letter to Prime Minister Carney in early May, essentially advocating for the same things that are in this motion. If I may ask to reopen the agenda to add that correspondence, it's just correspondence, please.
Okay, is it 2/3 to reopen the agenda and add the correspondence?
Yes.
See no opposition. Moved by Councillor Santos, second by Councillor Pelletier to add the correspondence.
Yeah, and then this is the motion. Thank you to Mayor Brown and Councillor Pelletier.
Do you need a mover and seconder for the? Okay, good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Santos. All those in favor of Councillor Santos's motion? Motion carries. Okay. This takes us to 7.1. Now, there's a presentation from Commissioner Ganesh about Bill 17. I received that presentation with Councillor Pelletier the other day, but there are some real significant consequences of Bill 17. So maybe on a high level, Commissioner Ganesh can go over what it means for us, and then if there's any questions.
Much. Good morning, Mayor Brown, members of council. The presentation today will be presented by myself and Nash, our city treasurer, both from the lens of a city building vantage point and financial vantage point about the issues that Bill 17 will present to the city of Brampton. I would say that Bill 17 is the latest bill prepared by the province in an attempt to fast track and accelerate new housing starts. To set the context before I tee up Nash, a couple things maybe just to keep in the back of your mind. Since 2019, the province has proposed 9 different pieces of legislation in an effort to expedite and accelerate housing. Bill 17 has 6,585 words, and according to ChatGPT, the word affordable appears 0 times. And lastly, I would say, in my opinion, and I would suggest that Nash would probably echo these sentiments, Bill 17 is going to test the financial resilience of Brampton and other municipalities because it will now remove the predictable funding source of development charges in a way that we have come to rely on in an effort to deliver levels of service for our businesses and residents. So with that as a bit of context, I'll get Nash maybe to speak to some of the financial impacts of Bill 17, and then he'll tee it over to me to speak to some of the city building impacts of the bill.
Thank you, Commissioner. Through the chair. Just explain a little more the financial impact as described by Commissioner Ganesh. And I will focus on the major impact from the Bill 17 from financial perspective that comes from the delay of collection of development charges from the application phase to the occupancy phase. Our team estimates that at Brampton, that's a delay of about 1 year, which is actually relatively short to other cities, but we're taking that as basis for estimate for the impact. The delay in collection of the DCs essentially makes the city provide the funding to the developers during that period for DCs that would have normally come from the banks. And so this really takes away about $100 million from city reserves in order to be able to provide that funding during that period. That has implications that really impact. So if we talk, for example, about where these numbers come from and so on, we estimate that in the first year, the major impact on the cash flows will be materialized in the range of $84 to $112 million. And that will then be moderated in future years by the level of activity in development going forward. For an average of about $13 to $20 million in impact to city reserves in terms of the cash available for DC projects and infrastructure. In addition to that, there is some carrying costs and inflation costs that, as a result of delaying projects that depend on this funding, the city will also have to additionally provide for, which is in the range of $2 to $3 million every year. So what does that mean for the city? We currently have, next slide, please. We currently have $567 million in projects that are funded through DC reserves. Out of those, $342 million are still to be funded, and a lot of that depends both on current DC reserves as well as future DC revenues to come. So with us having to dedicate around $100 million of the DC reserve cash for the purpose of shoring Bill 17 shortcome on the cash flows, we really are taking that money away from being able to put towards currently approved projects and projects in place to be delivered for infrastructure. So going, next slide, please. As you can see, sorry, one back, please. As you can see, a lot of these projects in terms of the size of it, a lot of these projects are dedicated towards major community centers, a lot of road work, essential infrastructure for the city, as well as transit expansion in order to meet the demands of the growing population. Next slide, please. In terms of what alternatives are there and what kind of, what does this mean for the bigger picture financially, the only city viable option to shore up any of this is property taxes. So if we would like to continue to fund the same level of development activity, and we're not getting that through the DC reserves, that will mean that it will have to be carried from the property tax increases. In addition, there is a possibility that funding might be provided through the province and the federal government in order to fund specific purposes. The problem with that is that that funding is application-based. We have no certainty that we're actually receiving that funding. We also have little control on what will be approved and so on. So it really compromises our ability to decide on what are the priorities for the city in order to meet those requirements. And it takes away from council. It doesn't take away, but it reduces council's ability to prioritize what they find as the most critical projects to dedicate the funds for. So in summary, it really compromises the city's ability to fund projects that are currently approved in DCs, and it takes away a lot of the control for the future in terms of determining what exact projects will be funded and will have to be dependent on getting approvals for different applications for funding.
Councilor
Back to you, Commissioner.
Sorry, Steve, did you want to add anything?
There's a few more slides to touch on the land use aspects of Bill 17 that I think is important, but I recognize there's some time constraints for members of council. Bill 17 received royal assent last week. The piece that did receive royal assent was on the financial component. There is still a little bit of runway to have consultation and input on the planning aspect. So if the indulgence of council, we could simply just go right to the discussion of the financial aspects of that.
So the financial aspects have not received royal assent? They have received royal assent.
Yeah.
And that was the deferral of the DCs to occupancy?
Correct.
Pretty much?
Correct. And, yeah, pretty much that. And then
no reduction of DCs?
Correct.
Right?
That has not been introduced through this bill.
That has not, but that's the big question coming out of, let's chat maybe before you go into, is that okay? Because I really want to get to what we had just talked about, and the deferral of DCs to occupancy. The one slide, 84 to 100 million, I don't fully understand what you're, like that's a first year impact. So that's a first year impact to be moving to, say, whatever timeline is there a timeline on the occupancy?
Yeah, it's about anywhere from 12 to 14 months from the date of building permit issuance to the date of occupancy. It's about a year and change.
Okay, so that gets moved to essentially a year down the road, right? So the impact is, it's not necessarily an impact, it's more of deferral, so everything, but then we'd be working off of the future, either futures money or the money that's coming in, depending on where we are situated in what we're building.
Through the chair, would you like me to explain? Through the chair, Councillor, the impact is what's going to be available in the DC reserves for the projects. If that amount, our collection for about a year, which is in the range of probably $80 to $100 million in DCs. If we collect them, this money is available to actually put into projects, ongoing projects that we are delivering for infrastructure. If that funding instead is not collected, then we have to keep using our current DCs, lowering them, making them less in order to be making up for that cash that's no longer available during that period.
But it's going to be collected, it's just going to be collected a year from now.
But next year, we won't collect next year's
For the year-
DCs. So
yeah,
we
a year
have
from then.
a permanent drop in $100 million in the reserve because of that. So it starts this year and it continues going forward, because every year we will receive then the ones from back here, but we won't collect the ones going forward. And that's what causing the permanent drop in the reserves. Cash flow issues.
It's cash,
Yes,
right,
absolutely.
absolutely, it's
Yeah.
cash flow issues, but it's not money that we're losing, except for, and what I'd like you to talk about, if you can, is the percentage of our borrowing cost to make up that next year's cash
Yeah.
flow.
So there are two, in addition to the drop in available cash in order to put towards our
I don't
infrastructure.
necessarily agree with the drop in available cash, it's just a year away.
But next year, then, we're giving away the next $100 million that we should have been collected next year. So once it drops, as long as it continues, that drop becomes permanent.
Okay. Steve, how much DCs are being collected from Heritage Heights? Do we know? The region has their number, we should have our number. How much?
Through you, Mayor Brown, through to Councilor Paleshi, until we have the number and types of units being built in all of it, we wouldn't know the DCs.
Why is the region has, what is 255 million just for north of Beauvert, west of Mississauga Road. So there's 55 million Bram West?
The region's projected those numbers for the regional infrastructure. How much the city would collect in DCs, I wouldn't be able to give that right now.
Percentages, why, okay, all right. We're always a little bit less than the region?
Our rates are less than the region per unit and unit type, but until staff get all of the development
I'm
applications.
not asking
and
to
look
the
at that.
penny.
Yeah.
But I think we should understand what that number is. It's not, there's a lot of dollars that are coming out in future years. So it's just organizing whatever we're planning on. The infrastructure that we talk about isn't pipes in the ground. The infrastructure that we're talking about is the community centers, libraries, fire stations now that aren't DC, or that are DC compatible. That one always confuses me, but it's the swimming pools, that's the infrastructure that we're talking about, right?
Through you, Mayor Brown, through to you, Councilor Paleshi, that's right. The growth-related infrastructure, school.
So if we push off if we go to borrowing, what does it do to our credit rating and what does it mean? Does the credit rating mean, we like to have that AAA credit rating? Does it actually do anything to our credit if it moves down to a AA? AA hockey's pretty good.
Councillor, it takes away from our debt capacity. What it does to our credit rating is something that has to be evaluated by the credit agency. But it takes away from our debt capacity around $100 million if we want to borrow for this purpose. And then we don't have that capacity for other things and so on. That's really as far as we know at this point for that. And if we want to compare to other municipalities, just to give some order of magnitude, other municipalities compared to our size would have a debt level of around $300 million. So adding $100 million is almost like a third of that. So it's significant, quite significant.
Okay, and I've interrupted the whole presentation, and I think that there's probably, and hoping, fingers crossed, there's good news at the end of this presentation. Bottom line is, we have to get on board with what the province has essentially done, and that's deferred DCs to occupancy. But then there's a bigger picture here, a reduction of DCs. If we want to accelerate housing right across the city, then we need to look at the opportunity for reducing DCs, and we have to get behind it. We have to figure this out somehow. That being said, The province just got a $40 billion mandate. They have a ton of money. They got a major majority to spend some money. Backstop us. Backstop, we reduce it. Okay, province, you want a reduction of DCs? We'll reduce it by 50%. No problem. Backstop us.
Councillor, if I can, please, through the chair. Councillor, that's like the next couple of slides. What I was trying to convey there is that that will be application-based funding. And we won't have certainty about what projects will get approved, and we won't be able to really plan ahead because we don't have the certainty of exactly what we're receiving, when, for how much, and so on. And it also takes away part of council's ability to decide exactly which projects need to be funded from DCs for which priorities and so on. So it has those two major impacts of uncertainty and lack of ability to plan into the future, and also council's autonomy with control over the spending of the DCs. So that's yet another major impact just to keep in mind from the bill.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that it's a discussion that we're going to have tomorrow. There's, we're going to have to figure something out, and maybe deferring the discussion is, but I'll look to the. Yeah.
Councillor Palashi, there's a motion on the table for tomorrow from Mayor Parrish to waive development charges, not just on rental, but on 50% on rental and residential and condos. And so what that would mean for our development charges and our ability to build servicing is quite significant. And so I think this is timely, what Bill 17 does, because there is, obviously, what it does locally puts a lot of projects at risk that, we have to defer. On a regional level, I think we need your input for what's at risk as well, so that members of council are armed tomorrow with information at the region. I hope everyone can be there because it's a very important discussion.
And just if Mississauga wants to reduce their DCs, by all means, go ahead. But they can't reduce the DCs, that Brampton and Caledon's portion of Mississauga's DCs that should be coming to us, the funding things, right? The other thing is there's $200 million that were put into that water treatment plant for, this great, big, beautiful new site that they're building down in Mississauga. That's fantastic. That's something that the province should have paid for. And why is it that the region had to pay the $200 million? Why did Brampton and Caledon have to fund? It doesn't make sense to me. But the backstopping of the province, I think that's where the answer lies. If they want us to build homes, they want to accelerate homes, no problem. 50% reduction, if that'll do it. Collect it in the HST for all the new homes that are just being built. Because it doesn't look like they're reducing the HST on the new homes. So if they're not going to do that, collect it on all the new homes. You'll make it back. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I think Councillor Palashi adding a caveat in if it comes from provincial funding is a different conversation. But it would be financially reckless if there's not a revenue source to replace the critical servicing that's necessary. I don't see any other questions. Oh, Councillor Keenan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I completely agree with Councillor Palashi. We have the provincial government shooting their horns about they're not increasing taxes, but then they create stuff that makes us need to raise property taxes. So I think it's a bit ridiculous, to be honest. I think for a partner like Brampton to this provincial government, I think what Councillor Palashi is saying is great. They should backstop it, and I think we should write a letter, a firm letter, not being too nice, but this is what it's going to take, so put your money where your mouth is and backstop it, or, like other infrastructure when it comes to the region, pay for the pipes that go in to build your house. Because if you're cutting the DCs at both levels, no one's going to be building, and then, because we won't be able to get the pipes in. So, and I know that's going to happen tomorrow at the region. I'm not going to support anything coming to cut DCs at this time, in any, at the regional level or our level, until we hear what the province is going to do for us. And just on the, you know, it doesn't matter, where is it at, though? Where is it at with, it got royal assent, but I heard that it's still not done, it's still a longer process. Is that true? Steve, could you answer that?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Brown, through to Councillor Keenan. So the bill did receive royal assent last Thursday. The components that are finalized are really the financial components, the DC collection. There are components of that bill that speak to changes in the Planning Act, so the types of studies that a municipality would typically get to review as part of a development application, you know, wind, light, and whatnot. Those components of the bill are still up for consultation, but if this is a sign of any track record of the province, typically they just move on with these things despite municipal. I recognize that there's a bit of time crunch for council, but just in preparation for your regional discussion tomorrow, planning and finance staff did some sensitivity analysis as to what a DC reduction, say in our downtown, would look like. Right now we have just over 1,000 units proposed in our downtown MTSA. At the current DC rates, those units would attribute to about $27 million worth of DC revenue to the city. If you were to do a 30% reduction on that, you're looking at about $19 million, and a 50% reduction, just shy of $13 million.
Was that rental specific or condo?
It's just all of the units. Our current DC bylaw does already bake in a discount for
rental already.
For rental. At 25% reduction for 3 or more bedrooms, 20% reduction for 2 or more bedrooms, and a 15% reduction for all of the other bedrooms and rentals.
So, just for awareness for members of council, I did have a discussion with Mayor Parrish and Mayor Groves with all these moving parts, and the response that I shared with them is, and I look at Brampton, we need employment. I want to incentivize employment, which is what we're doing. We have 80% residential, 20% employment. Mississauga's 65% residential, 35% employment. At one point, they were 60-40. And so I get why they can make the argument they want more residential. Our top priority is employment, with one caveat. There is a shortage of rental. And so I'm pleased to have conversations around rental. We do have an existing program, as Commissioner Ganesh said. But the argument, and I said this to Mayor Parrish, she says we need to incentivize more condos. I said the market can't handle condos. You've got empty condos everywhere. And so how can you make a business case saying I want to incentivize condos not to be sold? The marketplace does not need more condos. The marketplace needs more rental and needs more employment. And I think we need to take that united voice to regional council tomorrow, that we're prepared to have conversations on what our needs are, but in no world is our need more condos in the market.
I'm not sure where council wants to go with the balance of the presentation, but I think we've touched on the finance piece and the gravity of that. There's, when it comes to the planning changes, especially for those councillors who are part of the RRL subcommittee or task force, the bill also proposes a 10% variance as of right encroachment. So say, for instance, you have a lot. Somebody then with a garden suite who wants to put that garden suite in their rear yard could then put that within a 10% encroachment of the property line. Right now, you would have to do a minor variance for those sorts of things. I suspect that the province's hypothesis here is that it would reduce red tape by avoiding the variance process. However, I would suggest to council that it would not be in council's best interest to endorse that, especially given the number of issues we already have with ARUs and intensification in mature areas, and the ability for council to protect the character of neighborhoods. It is in my professional opinion that Bill 17 would continue to threaten that, and you will continue to receive complaints by your residents.
Very interesting in connecting that with all the moving parts. It seems quite dynamic for sure. Councillor Keenan, is your hand still up? Oh, it's from before? Okay. And Councillor Santos has a question. How many slides do you have? Just yeah.
We had a few, but I think we've kind of covered them.
As long as you're good, then yeah.
As long as I'm.
Thank you through you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for this presentation. You did a great job briefing many of us even before this. Appreciate that. my concern, and consistent with what Councillor Keenan had shared earlier and what you said, is about the proliferation of ARUs and us trying to chase our tails, trying to deal with the impact of that. So thank goodness we have the RRL, but I think it's going to start costing us more if Bill 17 encourages and incentivizes more ARUs in our city. So we'll need to monitor that. But on top of monitoring it, I think, to Councillor Keenan's point, when the provinces responds to us on how they're going to make us whole, if Embleton and the other community centers and things that already have shovels in the ground within community services, like, this is not just about building housing and incentivizing housing, it's also about building complete communities. Residents who move here want parks, they want community centers. And so if we find that they're not making us whole on that, because we can no longer collect DCs to the same level to pay for everything, I think we do need to make it very public and demonstrate to the residents, because you showed this slide of over $500 million of capital projects at risk. Residents don't know what that looks like. They don't understand it. And I quite frankly, I don't think the MPPs know what that is. So I think we actually need to show specifically the local MPPs what is not going to be built in the city to support their residents if they don't make us whole.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Santos, there is a slide that actually speaks about complete community. So what this bill essentially does is it induces supply by deferring the DC payments to occupancy. And through that, inducing the supply through the hypothesis of the bill, it transfers the risk to the municipality. So the certainty that you once had of getting a development charge when a Farhad issues a building permit is no longer there, because we don't have the certainty as to when an occupancy permit will be. That means you have to leverage, or the city has to leverage, borrowing costs that much longer to ensure rec centers, fire halls, and libraries will be built. And if you think you have lineups at places like Gore Meadows, Cassie Campbell, and whatnot now, this bill, in my humble opinion, will exacerbate that very situation.
Wow. I'm going to bring the report as well. Is the report 7.1? 11.4.1. We're on 7.1 then. Okay, got it. 11.4.1 forward as well. I don't see any questions on, pardon? Yeah, I don't see any questions online. So we'll go with the recommendations and receive the report. I'll have it moved by Councillor Santos and seconded by Councillor Thur. All in favor? Okay, that carries. Thank you. It's going to be a unique time moving forward. This year's AMO will be very fascinating. Yeah. And I think we're on committee 18. Thank you. This is very helpful. Thank you. Do we have any questions from councillors? Seeing none. Any questions from the public? Seeing none. We have bylaws. I'll have a motion moved by Councillor Brar, seconded by Councillor Powers, to approve all the bylaws. All in favor? Motion carries. We have the confirming bylaw, and I'll have a motion moved by Councillor Keenan and seconded by Councillor Thur to approve the confirming bylaw. All in favor? Motion carries. We're at adjournment. Our next meeting is Wednesday, June 25th at 9:30 a.m. I have a motion moved by Councillor Powers and seconded by Councillor Santos to adjourn today's meeting. All in favor? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you so much.